Wow. A bracket that started at 18 and ends at 21. What more could you ask for in a coming of age bracket?
Drinky,
wow.
drink.
That really was not intentional.
We did not plan that at all, and that's pretty fucking baller of us. Whoever pitched that theme is pretty cool, probably.
Yeah, thanks, Jake.
Oh, wait, thanks, dude. Appreciate that.
I mean, everyone knows I love coming of age movies.
Right.
And everyone knows I love coming.
I just looked at, so we have our list of honorable mentions that you guys lovely submitted to us, and we write the themes on the left. I just now saw that someone changed the title to Coming of Age to Just Coming. So that's the energy we're skating in for this finale, guys.
That is right. Hello and welcome back. We're the Tough Cut Podcast. You might have heard of us because this is a finale. This is episode 21, part 4 of our coming of age bracket. And I'm Matthew.
I'm a legal adult, Alex.
You sounded like 3 babies in a trench coat when you said that.
It is me. I'm an adult. I can buy candy from the candy store with my wallet filled with adult human money.
And I'm Jake.
Glad that there's no illegal adults here.
I mean, sometimes I feel like an illegal adult. Maybe that's a good name of a coming of age movie. Illegal
adults.
Sometimes I feel
like a plastic bag.
Does Little Soldiers count as a coming of age movie?
Wait. Where the toy, like the action figures come to life.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I loved that movie as a kid.
I had that shit on VHS, man.
Same.
Hell yeah.
I watched it so many times.
Do you listeners even know what VHSs are? Well, I'm assuming that our listeners are like fucking Zoomers.
I'm pretty sure, according to our stats, you cut this out, but it's like 40-year-old women and like 25-year-old dudes.
Wait,
that's our demographic.
You know what we've learned? The one thing we've learned that's been a consistent in almost all these coming of age episodes is that single moms are certainly in our area. Especially when it comes to Matthew. So is that the name of this episode? Maybe. Single moms
in your area. Jake is sending single moms to my area.
I am. I send them out. I ship them out. It's a business. Go to business. Anyway, so yeah, before we get into our final matchup, just so you look forward to it, it will be Jojo Rabbit versus. Are you biting your mic? What are you doing,
No,
Matthew?
I was pretending.
It's going to be Jojo Rabbit versus Lady Bird. Very excited about that. But for now, let's get into honorable mentions. We asked you guys, the audience, some of your favorite coming of age movies, and you guys gave us a handful. And I'm excited to get into them just because, these movies, there are so many different stories that are coming of age. It's expansive. And that's why we wanted to choose this theme, because we know a lot of people like talking about these things. And our experience coming of age is going to be very different from other people's and other people's and other people's. So yeah, who wants to start us off with their personal honorable mentions before we get into some audience shout outs?
So I have a question, what you guys think about this, because I feel like coming of age is often looked at young person learning how to be a real person living in the real world with real things. I'm wondering if coming of age also applies to the narrative trope of person who doesn't take life too seriously learns to grapple with the seriousness of the world around them. Does that count as coming of age?
I feel like that's super debated in a conversation that I've had with a couple film friends like before or whatever. I personally believe that coming of age doesn't just involve kids or whatever. I took a coming of age class and we did films like Lost in Translation about Bill Murray's old ass coming of age. He even argued that the movie Her was a coming of age film and dealing with midlife crises and all this stuff. And I thought it was a very interesting way to look at it. I don't think it's stereotypical, but I think as you challenge the genre, as people should challenge genres, yeah, I would say it does.
Last time we tried to challenge genre. Go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't always fucking work, all right?
I want to throw out a phenomenal movie that could have been in several of our brackets. Chicken Run, I think, is really good in the lens of coming of age.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of it like that.
Oh my God. Comparing Chicken Run to Jojo Rabbit, I think would be so interesting.
All right. Well, Lady Bird's out. Alex has used his substitution ability. He gets one per season.
Substitution for the whole podcast.
And guess what? I'm subbing out Jojo Rabbit for, you guess it, National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. But yeah, so that was a good one, Alex. Matthew, do you have one?
Avoiding the ones that are too personal.
Yeah, you don't want to be, let the audience know anything personal about you.
Yeah, just that I went to a middle school where we killed chickens.
Wow, wait, Matt, is your perspective on Chicken Run different because you killed chickens as a child?
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
What?
You've never seen Chicken Run?
That's fucking wild.
Maybe I have, but I genuinely I can't think of it.
All right, that's going to be on a bracket coming up soon.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Good to know. So something I was pretty close to putting in this bracket, but I decided I wanted to save for another one. Koi no Katachi, or A Silent Voice in its romanicized title. It is Japanese animated film. It is a fucking incredible movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it grapples with disability, with growing up, with trying to forgive yourself and figure out who you're going to be. It's really, really incredible.
Wasn't that another snub for Oscar, like Best Animated?
Absolutely. I think that, so it came out in 2016, which also Kimi no Nawa, or Your Name, also came out in 2016.
I see.
So that was already a terrific snub because Your Name is fantastic.
I would have picked
most
Your Name.
people forget that A Silent Voice came out in the same year.
I thought The Silent Voice came out 2014, but I could be wrong.
No, 2016. I was right. Get fucked, Jake.
Oh, God. One day I hope to.
Yeah, no, they were both 2016. Because didn't Boss Baby come out that year or something?
Shut up. I saw this.
That Boss Baby?
I literally got a fucking spam email because now I check all my emails because sometimes I got spam emails saying, check this out. And like I clicked it and it was the trailer for Boss Baby 2. And I almost deleted my whole laptop.
That is so funny.
The trailer came on TV. This is the one little thing I'm ever going to say about Boss Baby 2.
No, it's not.
Because it's going to be in a bracket one day.
Boss Baby ends in a way that I think is... I'm going to spoil Boss Baby. I don't give a fuck. Ends in a way that I think is actually kind of interesting because the movie itself is not very good, but it ends in like a metatextual way of like, oh, the whole film is made up to explain to the main character's daughter where his brother came from and like what their childhood was like. They're both grown up at the end. Boss Baby 2 throws that out the window and introduces the fact that all actually happened, which literally ruins the one semi-intelligent thing the writers accomplished in the first film.
I can't wait for it to win the Oscar.
It's so horrific. It makes me so mad.
I fucking
Hey, you know what,
that
though?
movie with
Alec Baldwin somehow turns back into a baby. I think that's the plot of Boss Baby 2, is they turn back into children, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
It takes place when the original main character's child is a baby and they need to turn adult Alec Baldwin into a baby again because he has to be a boss baby.
I'm going to cut you off only because we're spending way too much time talking about Boss Baby and I hate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Fuck Boss Baby.
What's one of your honorable mention picks, Jake?
Talking about kind of challenging genre and like what you were speaking about before, one of the picks that I was going to pick, but also was too close to my chest, was Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Oh.
It's literally a coming of age, like, you know what I mean? It's such a beautiful, like, encapsulating of all of age movie, and I love that movie. But I don't think you guys are ready for Southern Brad Pitt yet. So, real dialing it up there.
One that I adore that I'm surprised no one has said, and I'm not seeing it in our list either, is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I thought Matthew would pick it, honestly.
I considered it.
There's a time in college where, like, Matthew would just always say, life moves pretty fast sometimes.
I still say that.
That's a great pick. And I love that one. Has one of the best, like, musical moments, like that, like, museum. Please, please, please give me what I want by whoever it is. That song. Very good.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off will likely show up in a future bracket.
Francis Ha was another one of mine. I said it before, like in our like matchups or whatever, but I fucking love Francis Ha. It's one of the few like good / one of the few early 20s like coming of age movies. And I think that's really important, especially, because of us right now and how we're existing. Just kidding. We're 87. You'll never know how old we are.
We talked about that one a little bit in the episode. It
Right.
was brought, I think, a fantastic possible pick. And yeah, certainly super relatable, I think, to a lot of 20-somethings right now. One I'm going to steal from our audience because it was also on my list, but Y Tu Mama Tambien
Fantastic.
is an incredible film. I will spoil nothing from it because people should watch it. It's such a fantastic piece of just film in general, because I really don't think that there is like an important distinction of like, I don't know, a film being foreign somehow makes it worth something different.
Right.
People should just watch it. It's a fantastic exploration of adolescence, sexuality, and self.
110%. Alex, you got another?
Treasure Planet was a movie that I absolutely adore, and I was so close to putting it in this bracket. But I decided to rectify a mistake that I made before, because another movie that could have, and I probably should have put in this bracket, was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And I put that in the Nicolas Cage bracket. And it didn't do itself justice.
A lot of our audience shouted out Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Spider-Verse for sure should have been in this bracket, I think. But I could have put it in. We have no rules about like repeating movies, but it was just so soon. Didn't want to do it again. But I didn't want to do that with Treasure Planet, because maybe someday in the future we'll do a pirate bracket. And I want that to be in there.
Audience, if you want to see us do a pirate bracket, leave a comment below.
Say arg. Put an arg in the chat. Put an arg in the chat, please.
Oh shit! I'm seeing them come down. Oh,
Oh, dude. Thanks for the 10 gifted.
there's a couple of pogs mixed in there, guys. We're trying to only do args right now. I need this for the clip.
Arg champ.
All right, the mods have just told me we've got a new emote, arg champ. You can now type that in chat if you're a sub. Get the special sub emotes right now.
So anyway, one of my other ones is Stand By Me, Stephen King.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's just a fun, like, you know, playing with like kind of a horror-ish like movie, and like it's a good one. You know, you find a dead body on the train tracks. What do you do as a kid?
One from our audience that I really like is Mean Girls. I feel like we probably were not the crowd, I guess, that like this movie probably didn't mean a ton to any of us. But I rewatched it a couple months ago, partway through quarantine, and it's like really good, guys. It's very funny.
Yeah. Anyways, a lot of other people talked about a lot of John Hughes, which we didn't include any John Hughes, right? So like Breakfast Club, you know, 16 Candles, which has its own issues. Obviously, we talked about Ferris Bueller. Yeah, those are on there. Ones that I really loved that were included on here. Shout out to Persepolis. If you haven't seen that movie, that's fantastic. Moonlight is another phenomenal movie. I was very close to picking that one. Also, I want to super shout out someone because, you know, like we've talked about, these guys try to get me to watch movies that I've never seen before and, you know, have, I guess, succeeded in a certain way. But someone pitched a movie that I hadn't heard or even heard of before, which is Yi Yi. So shout out to that person. That's one of our UK listeners. So shout out to the UK. Yeah, it looks like a really fucking dope film, and I will watch it and maybe talk about it on the show more. So shout out to that honorable mention. Hell
yeah. Just looking at the ones from our audience, another one I want to call out as, oh, I almost put it in the bracket.
Right.
but then put the two movies I picked instead. This falls, I think, in the territory of something I want to save for a later bracket, but Spirited Away.
Oh.
What were you gonna say? What did you think I was gonna say, Jake?
Well, here's the thing. I'm looking at our honorable. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm looking at our honorable mentions, and someone pitched Saw 4, and just knowing Matthew Lerner, I thought he was gonna say that. But no, I absolutely agree. Spirited Away is a phenomenal coming-of-age movie.
In a way, you can view Saw 4 as a coming-of-age story in Jigsaw's attempts to push Riggs to learn to overcome his desire to try and save everybody. However, he never comes of age.
There's about like 2 people who fully understand that sentence, I imagine.
Yeah. Controversial opinion to all you Saw heads out there. But Saw 4, in my opinion, is one of the worst Saw movies. It's so boring. Anyway.
I'm not one of those 2 people who understands that sentence that you said. Another movie that I really love from this list, Dead Poets Society. And that's because I'm a sucker for Robin Williams. But man, that's a good movie.
That like a number of people pitched that one.
Is it an SNL sketch about Dead Poet Society where the kid
Yes,
gets
it is.
decapitated?
Oh my God, that is so funny.
Love that sketch.
If you have not seen the SNL Dead Poet Society spoof sketch with Fred Armisen, oh my God, it is so good. Please look it up and watch it right now.
Do we want to hop into the bracket, or any other honorable mentions you want to highlight?
No, the only thing I need to highlight is that, you know, we still have some hardcore fans out there of the best film that fits any genre in the world, Mouse Hunt. It did get pitched. It is the best coming of age film and the best animal protagonist film. I will die on that hill.
I wait for two things to occur. One, for the return of Mouse Hunt in a bracket, and two, the how many brackets you're going to have to put it in until it advances beyond the first round.
Jake, I feel like you are required to put Mouse Hunt into every bracket where it is applicable.
Yeah, no, trust me, I know this.
It wasn't even applicable the first time. That's a joke.
You joke, but you're also kind of right.
In a way, we can view the mouse as a subversive hero defending his land from intruders.
Right. Hey, thank you guys so much for giving so many honorable mentions. We really appreciate it. We love talking with you guys, and we love the conversation. So keep on doing that. We love talking about these, even like live while we're doing it, commenting on what's making it. If you think certain films, you know, should have even in the bracket won or advanced over others, it's awesome. We love hearing with you guys. We love engaging with you guys. Keep pitching Mouse Hunt, and eventually it'll be a movie. And fit a theme, maybe.
Interact with all of these things, honorable mentions, the hosts, talk about the show, talk about movies, or anything, because I'm sure you'll see other stuff pop up on our social media.
Yeah. We didn't talk
Interact
about
with us
yeah.
at Tough Cut Pod. Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd. We post reviews from all the movies we watch for this show.
I've noticed we late night thirst tweet. Like, we've done it more on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are all Alex.
Yeah, right. I'm sure those are all Alex.
Hey, whoa. Hey, don't out me.
Yeah, which one of you guys posted about me wanting to be the himbo of the Tough Cut? My brain. So we've got Jojo Rabbit versus Lady Bird. What a fantastic way to end this bracket. Jake, do you want to go ahead and give a concise rundown of Jojo Rabbit?
Jojo Rabbit, since the finale, I'll give an actual, synopsis. In Nazi Germany, a lonely German boy is enamored by, Nazi propaganda and discovers his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their attic. He's only aided by his imaginary friend, Adolf, played by Taika Waititi. And I only say that in the synopsis because, again, they specify it in every synopsis you find that, don't worry, guys, this is an actual Adolf. This is Taika
It's not
Waititi.
the real Hitler. I am introducing Lady Bird.
Lady Bird.
Hopefully you've seen it. Hopefully you love it. It's about a high schooler named Lady Bird who doesn't like her mom and her mom doesn't like her, but they love each other. And then she leaves. And that's the movie.
I wonder if there's one person listening, you're like, because you always say, like, hopefully, like, you love whatever. I hope there's one listener who's like, I fucking hate that movie. Just, like, pauses. It's like, no, Alex, I fucking hate it.
I hope one day we get someone that a movie is making a miraculous underdog run through the bracket, and someone is just there on the sidelines going, no. Boo. Yeah.
So I was like really, I said in the last episode towards the end, I was like, I'm kind of surprised by this like matchup, how it ended up, how it shook out to this being the finale. But then I looked back at my notes, because I take a bunch of notes when I watch the film. And these were the two that I took the most notes on. I just realized that. Like, these are the two that I had the most things to say about. And I think that speaks like to a testament about both these movies where they had a lot to talk about. They have a lot of meat to them, and they have a lot of like universal messaging. They have a lot of universal messaging that like is really applicable and really meaningful, both to me and hopefully to a lot of other people. I mean, it made it to our finale, so obviously they're the best films ever. That's how that works here on the Tough Cut. But yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Like,
so this is actually one of the topics I most wanted to talk about. I mean, I talked about this last time. I don't find Lady Bird to be a particularly relatable film. Like, it's not something that I think I'm super in tune with because it's pretty far away from my own experience. And on the same sort of note, Jojo Rabbit, I feel, is not a relatable experience either. So I think that's a really interesting element that obviously I can see how Lady Bird is meant to be relatable and how people relate to it. Whereas on the other side, Jojo Rabbit, I don't know is necessarily meant to be a relatable film as much as it is an exploration of an ideology and some of these other concepts similar to This Is England. I know we touched on some of those topics in that conversation, which isn't to say it makes it different as a coming of age film, because I don't necessarily know if relatability is something a movie has to have. But I just think it's a really interesting difference.
I think the relatability of Jojo Rabbit really comes from the audience is meant to like Jojo, but see that he is completely wrong at the beginning of the movie. Like, his beliefs are wrong. He's a Nazi. And I think the relatability comes through him slowly abandoning his beliefs of Nazism to like escape his illusion of what he thinks the world is like. And so I think the relatability comes from his acceptance of the way the world should be, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it also, like, this film really sells like the moldability of children really well. I think, like, obviously, yes, we have the obvious Nazis, like propaganda and how like Nazi Germany really convinced a lot of people of a thing, but really also boiling it down, it's also how kids are very like moldable and really like, you know, impressionable is probably the better word for it. And, you know, This Is England explored it, and like a lot of other coming of age films explores it, but this does it in such a way where it's like such a blatant, like, okay, yes, Nazis like did this, we study this, we know this. This is also just a regular kid experience about other things in life that you can apply to today, which is really, you know, prevalent.
Thank you so much for that, Jake, because that is one of the things I think is so elegant about Jojo Rabbit. Taika Waititi is sort of taking like, yeah, Nazis are bad as like a face value thing. Like, we know that Nazis are bad. I don't need to make a commentary about how bad the Nazis are. It's simply using Nazi Germany as a framing device for these other types of, you know, indoctrination, for the impressionability of children, for fascism generally. A lot of these other concepts are being tackled, which I think is like a really cool way to get at it. Because, you know, as we said, like, This Is England goes for a very similar thing. It's just that like that additional framing you see in Jojo Rabbit, and of course how the characters are explored, is kind of like an evolution on it.
Kind of bringing that around to Lady Bird, talking about how the setting plays such an interesting role, I think, in both of these movies, because the setting in Jojo Rabbit is so much for contextualization. It sets up so much, but it also, like I said in our last episode, the town that they're living in, I think by the end of the movie becomes a little bit of a character. Comparing that to Lady Bird, I think Lady Bird really could have been set anywhere, but it makes the choice to be in Sacramento. I think it gains so much character by having so much of Greta Gerwig's personal experience that I know nothing about Sacramento, but I understand how Greta Gerwig sees the city. I think in a really interesting way, the city comes to inform Lady Bird's relationship with her mother, which I think is really interesting, I guess, the way that kind of shakes out.
Well, I think the perfect encapsulation of it is like, I come from a small town thing, you know, I come from a whatever. I guess Sacramento isn't that small town. It's a California city that's fairly populated. You know, they feel like it's a small town and they feel like it's part of the,
Oh, actually, comparing Sacramento, small town, and how Lady Bird wants to leave Sacramento, right? Comparing that to Jojo in their small town. At the beginning of the movie, everyone you see, it feels like everyone is a Nazi, right? Did you guys get that feeling watching the beginning of the movie? And I guess it like slowly is revealed how people are less and less supportive of like the Nazi regime and more just like Germany trying to stay alive kind of thing. It feels like the city slowly reveals itself to not be Nazi Germany. So in a very strange way, Jojo is falling into the city as opposed to Lady Bird like falling out of the city, escaping the city, which I think is a really interesting way to examine, I guess, cities as a character.
Though I also feel like it's important to recognize with Lady Bird, I don't know, like I think she idealizes the idea of falling out of the city or getting away from Sacramento, but I think it's extraordinarily evident from where the film ends that like that is impossible.
Right.
She leaves Sacramento, but Sacramento never leaves her.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
You can take the sack out of the memento. Nope, I'm going to leave that one. Anyway, something I also want to talk about. For me, this is a personal opinion, so feel free to say fuck off, Jake, in the chat. But for me, these are also our two funniest films, I think, that we pitched. And it's kind of crazy that like us and like the people we did. Oh, no, yeah. I think, yeah, Booksmart is the other exception. But I think these are like very funny films in the way they're written. And they genuinely like make me laugh and have such great character moments with those things. And that like means so much to me in a coming of age like movie, because comedy is such an important part for me growing up and like still now, and like forming yourself through. You always talk about like when you're writing or like doing comedy stuff, like finding your voice. And like, isn't that also partially like coming of age? So like finding your voice, and Greta and Taika have such specific voices, and their characters, these actors, like these Roman Griffin and Davis and Saoirse Ronan, are so good in their roles. Like they really encapsulate like that character and have a voice, it feels like. You know what I mean? More so, I think Saoirse. I think more so Lady Bird has her voice because Roman is more finding his like voice.
Oh, I think I'm a little bit confused on.
Good.
I followed until the very end where you stated that you feel Saoirse has found her voice and Roman is still looking for his. Like what? Like that? I think I don't know if I agree with, because
I'm saying I think that Saoirse has a stronger voice. Like I think Lady Bird as a character has a stronger voice. Like she knows herself a little bit more, or at least has a stronger like tone about like things, or is a more standout character to me than Jojo Rabbit is.
Okay, I think that the piece of has a standout character brings it around, because I think that Lady Bird has no idea of what her voice is, because we see her kind of ping pong around back and forth between what personality am I going to adopt, who she's hanging out with, and how that makes reflections of herself. Like I don't think she has any certainty in her own voice.
It's kind of like talking about how the nun said, oh, you write about Sacramento like you don't know, like you don't love it, but you do. I think she thinks like she doesn't know her voice or whatever, but she still feels aggressively her. Like when I watch that movie, I don't think anyone else is like Lady Bird. You know what I mean? So like if anything, in a way, like her lack of voice is her voice in a way.
The more you talk, the more I actually disagree with you, Jake, because I feel like at the beginning of Jojo Rabbit, Jojo knows exactly who he is, exactly what he believes. And Jojo Rabbit's process is the deconstruction of who he thinks he is. Versus, I think Lady Bird, I agree with Matt. I don't think she knows who she is. And because you see her act differently with every friend group. You see her act differently with the nuns. You see her act differently with her family. Mm-hmm. The only person who I think she is truly herself with is Beanie Feldstein's character. And I think like that character slowly becomes more and more of like, you see that character, that Lady Bird, come out more and more. And by the end of the movie, that's who she is with everyone, all the new people she's meeting in New York. It takes the whole movie for her to find herself.
And that's why she chooses Christine at the end to embrace.
Right. Yeah. They're all finding themselves. I mean, this is a movie about finding, but I'm saying like as a specific, like she's such a like written in such a specific way that like it feels like that is Lady Bird's character. Even all those interactions, like interacting and trying to piece together all the in-betweens and all those like cuts and the things she says and the witty responses like she does.
Are you saying like her personality comes out stronger?
Yeah, I think Jojo Rabbit it's good. Like it's good. It's written fun and nice, but like he more of like goes through it rather than like she goes through it, but she like it just feels more specifically her. Like, I don't know. I just feel like she stands out more of a character.
I really think I disagree. And so I'm going to go back to the first thing you said with this point, and I'm going to say, fuck off, Jake.
What if I just started crying?
That would be really sad.
I would feel so bad.
So, yeah, you were at fuck off, Jake?
Yeah, Jake, fuck off. I think another a really interesting point of comparison is the kind of antagonistic relationship between JoJo and Lady Bird and their moms. Because the moms are very different, but the relationships are kind of similar because their perspectives are so juxtaposed. What do you guys think?
I disagree with you only because you disagreed with me before. No, I mean, that one's tricky just because I love how Scarlett Johansson's mom character like handles JoJo, and I think she just handles it in such a better way, but also that's not the point. Like the point in Lady Bird is that she handles it in such a specific way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love
100%.
the way Scarlett Johansson redirects, and like I think it's phenomenal parenting. Really tragic, her fate. Lady Bird's it felt way more realistic and way more like that felt like
So
real
layered.
honest conversations. And so like that airport scene really like sold it for me. Her like dropping her off,
Yeah.
juxtaposed to like the beginning or whatever, and then her going around that circle and us just following her, and then her fucking crying and going over. It's like, oh shit. Yeah, it's a much more nuanced take, but I do think that it's a so well written like of JoJo, of that mom to be that idealized mom. It's just handled so well.
Mm-hmm. And she dies.
Yeah, I can't believe Lady Bird's mom dies.
Yeah.
Nice. Good cover. Good cover.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning, I guess, for Lady Bird.
You remember in Lady Bird at the end where all of a sudden Robert Pattinson was in a building, right? And they pulled out and then it was 9/11.
Oh God, that's
God.
spoilers for Remember Me, but you shouldn't watch that movie. You should not remember it. It's an awful film.
You should Google the last scene of Remember Me, actually. It's pretty fucking hilarious.
It's a romance, by the way.
Yeah.
After you've watched that scene, that was a romance.
Wow.
Yeah, take a quick pause, watch that scene. Remember, that's a romantic movie.
Yeah. Welcome back to Coming of Age. Robert Pattinson does not come of age in that movie.
Wowza.
Neither do those kids in town that get grenades strapped to them. They don't come of age.
Right.
Cool. Okay. Wow. I'm really
Wow.
digging a hole to the center of the earth on this episode.
Speaking of kids in town,
Right.
what do you guys think happens to Yorkie after Jojo Rabbit?
Dude, I don't know, but he fucks. Like, that kid's so dope.
Yorkie himself, so if we have to use the text as a reference, Yorkie himself says, "It's almost like I can't die." And I take that to be there are supernatural forces intervening in the world to keep Yorkie alive. So as all of the pro-Nazi regime Germans or, whatever, get rounded up and killed by the American soldiers, we have to assume that through some great coincidence, Yorkie gets out of there,
He got the super soldier serum. Well, he did say one of his last lines is, "It's not a good time to be a Nazi," which I think is his memoir that he writes, and then he gets on the Ellen show. It's specifically Ellen because of the times, and and she saves him from being canceled, and it's a really beautiful thing.
being canceled.
Man, I can't believe Ellen saved Yorkie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But fuck Ellen, because she's an awful human being.
Yeah, the Tough Cut is not pro Ellen.
And we're also not pro-Nazi Yorkie.
No. Yorkie has one of the funniest lines where they're like, they're sleeping at the camp and they're like, Hitler's my best friend. And he's like, "I thought I was your best friend." And like JoJo's like, "No, you're just a fat little boy, a fat little body." He's like, "I suppose I am a fat kid in a fat boy's body." And like, it was really fucking funny to me, guys. It was really good. I loved Yorkie in this film. Also, those two kids are actually best friends now in real life, and it's adorable. Watch their press conferences.
Great.
It's so fun. They're so cute.
That is adorable. That's so cute. Yorkie's going to be there's an untitled Home Alone reboot in production, and Yorkie is in it.
What?
Yeah, and then also Leonardo DiCaprio playing Mads Mikkelsen's character in another round
In Home Alone.
in Home Alone.
Yeah, he is.
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio plays drunk Mads Mikkelsen breaking into a house because he's too drunk and he thinks it's his own house. And then Yorkie just happens to beat the ever-loving shit out of drunk Leonardo DiCaprio.
And that's what's the plot of Saw 4. We went full circle, guys.
I was about to hop in there with a Saw joke.
Nice. I have to beat you to the Saw jokes. You can't be that on brand.
Genuinely, Jake sees the me getting ready to like say something. I'm clearly excited, and he's like, "Oh, I know it's a Saw joke coming, so I'll just hop in there and snip that one before he can get to it."
I will say a plus for JoJo. I think JoJo does a really good job of crafting two coming of age stories in one. I know JoJo is the focus and gets the most like whatever, but Elsa's story is very beautiful one too, and a very like nuanced one. And I think the encapsulation of like the letters from Nathan part is so heartbreaking and sweet too, like all the letters from this kid. And this as a coming of age story is encapsulated by she said the phrase like, "You've lived more lifetimes than most," and then she's like, "I haven't lived at all." And what a beautiful turn on that conversation and life being difficult. And in comparison, like with Lady Bird being like, "I haven't lived through something," those two separate things, it's wild to me. And I think Jojo Rabbit does a really good job of bringing that on its head.
That's such a good point. I haven't lived through something, and then comparing that to someone who is living through more than hopefully any of us ever go through. And she says she hasn't lived at all. Like,
which I think is a really interesting point on significant periods in history and things like that, like the required emotional maturity and the idea of growing up too quickly that Jojo Rabbit like has to grapple with so heavily. I guess not even just through significant periods. It's a very real thing that a lot of kids have to grapple with, this idea of forced to grow up faster than they should have to. I think it's a really interesting concept that Jojo Rabbit hits on in a way that's applicable to a lot more than just kids growing up in wartime and Nazi Germany. Like, you know, in some ways, like Lady Bird's situation may be one that like a kid would be necessitated to grow up a lot more quickly than otherwise, like having to have such frank conversations on cost and finances with their parents. Like, you know, most people would consider those things that kids shouldn't necessarily have to be worrying about. I don't know. It's an interesting relationship between those two movies.
Yeah. But which one of these movies has Sam Rockwell in it?
That's a good point.
I was just trying to think of a way to talk about Sam Rockwell.
But also, I raise you, which one of these movies has Timothée Chalamet in it?
Which one of these movies, though, is Timothy Tiny Tim play a fucking dick?
Through the window, by the Oh, sorry. I forgot to shout out Insidious as my favorite coming of age movie.
Because, you know, Sam Rockwell's character and Timothée Chalamet are pretty similar.
No.
Sam Rockwell's character in Jojo Rabbit. What kind of dragon would Sam Rockwell's character in this movie have?
Didn't we already talk about this?
Yeah.
No, we did.
We
did Sam Rockwell's dragon in the way back. But what would Jojo Rabbit Sam Rockwell have?
Oh my god, I didn't
they're
think about that.
They're double-headed. Wait, they're one of those double-headed ones. You have the chill water dragon, and then you have the flamboyant, like the music dragon, like with the little music horn and the little like, you know what I mean? Like his final design, his fashion is basically Elton John. He's Elton John. One dragon is Elton John.
Does Sam Rockwell's dragon beat Timothée Chalamet's dragon?
110%.
Hell yeah. I think it
110%.
for sure.
I'm okay with it.
Everyone like kind of thinks Timothée Chalamet is going to win because it's like sleek, black, shoots supersonic blasts. It's like,
god damn it.
Yeah, it's named Drakthar.
And so it's like everyone is like, oh, this is the one where it's like, this is the main character dragon. And then Sam Rockwell's is just like way better.
Damn.
Something that we didn't talk about, like specifically, that quote that came at the end of Jojo Rabbit, like encapsulating like another thesis of it, like let everything happen to you, beauty and terror, just keep going, no feeling is final. Literally ending us with like a thesis and like a message like for our characters and for like us. Like, what do you also think is the message for Lady Bird, and like, you know, what the conclusion is, and what do both of those do for a coming of age film, and which one, if we're deciding the best one, which one is the more resonant thing to you guys?
I feel like Lady Bird's message and kind of theme that it culminates in is this realization and discovery of the self and like what constitutes you are as a person. And I think it ultimately comes to the conclusion that what makes you who you are is your relationships, her relationship with her mom, her friends, her dad, her brother, her relationship with the city that she grew up in. Like those are the things that make her who she is. And so finding that, she is then able to express herself in a different way, in a new new way when she reaches New York. And she still, no matter how she portrays herself, still has her relationships with the things that ground her. I mean, that's very relatable. I feel like a lot of people go through journeys of self-discovery
Right.
in middle school, high school, college. That I think is in many ways what a coming of age story is a journey of self-discovery. I don't know.
Final answer is I don't know. That's Alex's camp. We'll see where Matthew stands.
I forgot what your actual question was, honestly.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
6 woods.
He got it right.
Fuck.
It's the first one ever. It was like, what is the conclusion that Lady Bird comes to? And between the two messages, which one's more emotionally resonant with you? I don't know. I really don't know. I think because in my perspective, I think Jojo Rabbit is more a broader commentary on themes and ideas of like fascism, brainwashing, and, you know, et cetera, through the lens of a very personal story, where Lady Bird is, you know, has this very personal conclusion to what is like a fairly intimate story through and through, capped off with Tina and Mother in the car, flashing between the two of them, whatever, which I really like Alex's point of, you know, Lady Bird, life, discovering yourself. A lot of it becomes about in relation to other people. I have no idea which one's more emotionally resonant. You know, it's not like I've had to escape indoctrination, but I think that's like emotionally important. I think that for me, it comes down to the difference between between like emotional resonance and emotional importance. I think one sends a more important message and more important commentary, whereas the other, not to say it isn't important.
You know what I just realized about that line, Jake, that you said about from Lady Bird of her saying she wants to live through something? Both of these movies deal with the self being defined by. So Lady Bird wants to live through something so that way she can define herself by a defining experience like that. Versus Jojo Rabbit, Elsa's character is trying, like, by the end of the movie is figuring out how to not define herself by her experience. That is such an interesting contrast.
Yeah.
Like, that is why that line is in Lady Bird, because she wants to define herself by some kind of experience. Damn, that's wild.
And that's why, like, Scarlett Johansson's like random conversations with Elsa too about being a woman, about living through things, about whatever, and then what that means when like she's gone and like Jojo and Elsa are together and they have to figure it out without their compass. Phenomenal.
Ugh, I'm getting chills.
Oh, put on a jacket, baby.
Nah, we're almost done.
Give him a little pat.
A little pat on your little head. I think I'm ready to vote, honestly.
I guess so. I don't know, man. It's a tough one.
This is a tough one.
Jake, you can go first this time since you said you're ready.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jojo Rabbit, and we can get into it later, but I think the things we talked about helped me out with this conversation, like about living through things and like the amount of coming of age that we get and whatever. I hope it's just dead silence for the rest of the episode, actually, guys. All right.
It just ends like
10
that.
10 more minutes of silence.
I am also voting for Jojo Rabbit.
Wow. So it doesn't matter what I was going to vote for. But if you look at my little notebook here, I wrote the word flip because I had no idea what I was going to vote for. So I'm going to flip a coin. And I voted for
Pause
Lady
the
Bird.
podcast, right? Oh, shit. Pause and put your guesses in the chat below. I keep mentioning a chat. I gotta fucking stop that. There is no chat here.
Just pretending we're a Twitch stream.
Yeah.
Wow, guys. Jojo Rabbit is the winner of this bracket. What a fantastic movie. What a great bracket all around.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
I loved all
So
these.
good.
It feels like a lifetime, honestly, like since I watched like This Is England and Booksmart and like all phenomenal movies.
An absurdly stacked bracket.
But coming of age is a bracket of the past now.
Yeah, honestly, fuck that bracket. I hated that bracket.
We have to look forward to what comes next. And fellas, what does come next?
Oh, God, I have to come to the grappling realization that I know nothing about music. I thought it was never going to come up.
I was doing an overture playing at the beginning because our next bracket is movie musicals. These are movies that are also musicals. They don't have to be Broadway shows or stage shows. They can just be movies that are musicals. Guys, I'm so excited. We've got such great movies. In our first episode of the next bracket, we've got The Blues Brothers going up against Les Mis, and we've got Greatest Showman going up against Mamma Mia.
Here we
And
go
in our
again.
second
Jake
half
is
of the
the
bracket,
villain of this bracket.
it's going to be so fun. In our second half of the bracket, we've got the producers going up against Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. And we've got the Rocky Horror Picture Show going up against The Road to El Dorado. Guys, this bracket is actually going to be so much fun. I love musicals.
Do you think anyone's compared Rocky Horror and The Road to El Dorado before? Like, ever?
Impossible. No way. No way
Like,
has
the
that
others
happened.
I could maybe see, but what in the world? I love that.
We said we were going to make the next one lighter, and we took it seriously this time.
We've been saying it for 4 brackets now, and hey, we actually went and did it this time, guys.
Yeah, all of our picks are equally light.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jake. Fuck off, Jake.
Well, yeah, I mean, thanks for listening, guys. Follow us on all the socials at Tough Cup Pod, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, all those good, lovely, fun things. We love interacting with you guys. We love seeing you guys. And, we'll see you next week. Woot, woot.
Yeah.
Woo!
And if you liked the show, make sure to
Tell the single hot mobs in Matthews area.
I had funny things to say with this bit of, make sure to tell someone. Now I don't have anything funny
2 weeks
to
in
say.
a row, Matt can't think of who to tell. Matt grappling with his identity of what he says at the end of the podcast. Too bad this is the end of Coming of Age. Bye.